Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com and of course the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoDQ&AV. We are coming off TNA's biggest pay-per-view event of the year, Bound for Glory 2012. That means I actually have questions today about TNA. That's right, TNA questions, WWE questions, so let's get right down to it. This is from The Practical. Hey Aaron, what did you think of Bound for Glory, and what did you think of all the boos Jeff Hardy was receiving? I've gotten a ton of questions about Jeff Hardy, questions about him winning the title, my reaction to that. Let's start off with the pay-per-view as a whole. I thought it was a success from TNA. You had a lot of good matches on the card. You had a close to a full capacity crowd. I saw pictures where there were a few empty seats in the areas that you could not see on television, but on TV it looked full. So that's a success for TNA. They were able to fill up the building for the most part. And as far as Jeff Hardy winning the TNA title goes, I've talked about this before in other videos. I'm not all that crazy about it. If it was me, I know Jeff Hardy has shown a lot of improvement as of late. He's stayed healthy. He hasn't gotten himself into trouble, which is a good thing. And because of that, I would keep him on the TNA roster. But if it was me, I'm not so sure I would want to build my company around this guy after he's gotten himself into trouble in the past. And I just think it's too much of a risk. So that's the main reason I'm against putting the TNA title on Jeff Hardy. Also, putting it on him and having him beat Austin Aries when you're trying to establish your new superstars. And Austin Aries turned heel this past week on Impact, and he was really over with the fans in Phoenix, and I just don't know if it was the right move. But I can understand why TNA would do it. From a business perspective, Jeff Hardy is still, as of this moment, the biggest star that they have. He sells the most merchandise. He gets the biggest reactions at the live events. So I could see why they would want to put the title on him. And also, his contract is coming up soon. So this could be a political move to make sure he's happy and signs a new deal with them. So I think that's why they did it. But if it was me, I probably would have kept it on Austin Aries. This is from Dan2007. Hey Aaron, I guess TNA, quote, fooled everyone by having it be revealed that Devon was behind Aces and Eights. Your thoughts? Okay, if it was my decision, somebody else asked me, actually I got this question coming up right now, so I'll just tie these two together. This is from Devon David 9. If you were in control of TNA, what would you do to improve the ratings? If I knew what to do to improve ratings, I would probably be working for TNA, but I'm not. I don't really know what would improve ratings. I'm not sure anybody knows what would improve ratings. If they did, the ratings would improve. The TNA has been doing the 1.0, 1.1s for 7 years now. However long it's been, I'm not even sure, 7 years. And they haven't been able to get those numbers up, no matter what they've tried. I've talked about this before. Really, the only way that TNA would start to see ratings improved was if they completely overhauled their product, and you really need to have strong storylines on a consistent basis, and they just need to be able to build momentum, and they just haven't been able to accomplish that. One thing I would not do is continue doing a storyline or angle when it's clearly not working. And this whole Aces and Eights storyline, it's just not connecting with the audience. The ratings have been down for TNA. They're not even doing a 1.0 at this point. They're barely getting 1 million viewers each week on Impact. And I know they have a lot of competition with sports, but the ratings have still been down, and there's really no excuses. If something's not working, you drop it. So I know people would have been disappointed, but if I was in charge and I saw the ratings, I would have just had Sting and Bully Ray beat Aces and Eights and end the storyline. It's not working. Let's try something else. But TNA's being they want to keep pushing it. They're being stubborn, so they're gonna keep doing the Aces and Eights storyline. Devon is part of the group, and I don't think that they mentioned him being the leader of the group. He was just unmasked and revealed as one of the guys. So it could be that they're still TNA still holding off, and they're going to wait to reveal the guy who's actually behind the whole thing. It could be the storyline with all these disgruntled people, former workers from TNA. Devon. They play up the storyline where he was his contract expired or whatever, and they didn't re-sign him, and the TV title was stripped from him. They could just play up on that. So, whatever. It was a surprise. Nobody was expecting it, that Devon would be behind the group. But then again, it didn't really, people were confused by it. They were chanting, "This is awkward," the live crowd, and they didn't really know what to make of it. This is from Crayon4810. Do you know if WWE is planning any more Greatest Rivalries DVD? I would really like to see one for Austin versus The Rock. What rivalries do you think would make the most for good releases, or what rivalry would you most like to see in a Greatest Rivalries DVD? The one that comes to mind to me would be Vince McMahon versus Steve Austin, arguably the biggest feud in the history of WWE. And definitely Steve Austin versus Rock. They just did The Rock and John Cena, kind of like a Greatest Rivalries DVD, not quite the same thing as what they did with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. I'd love to see a Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair one. Ric Flair's done with TNA, so he's available, but I just don't see it happening until Hulk Hogan is finished with TNA. But sometime down the line, that would be a great one. Hogan versus Flair, and Vince McMahon versus Steve Austin, I think would be the big money makers, in my opinion. And maybe sometime down the line, you could do like a triple threat one: Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian, and they could talk about all the ladder matches. That would be a cool release as well. This is from Daniel Cole, WWE. Hey Aaron, if Triple H hadn't gotten injured in 2007, what would have been his role at WrestleMania 23? Would the main event still been what it was? From what I recall, the plan was for Triple H to in fact win the Royal Rumble and then go on to WrestleMania 23 and have the big rematch with John Cena from the previous year. And perhaps it was a good thing that he got hurt, because people were getting tired of Triple H, and that was still during the period when everyone felt that Triple H was taking up too much of the TV time. And it might have been a blessing in disguise, because Shawn Michaels came up, stood up, he got involved, and him and John Cena had a great match at WrestleMania. And then on the Raw a few weeks later in England, they had another great match. The match, it went something like an hour, 45 minutes. I don't recall exactly how long, but a lot of people consider that match to be even better than the WrestleMania 23 match. So we got a great feud between John Cena and Shawn Michaels as a result of Triple H getting hurt. So wasn't good for Triple H, but for the rest of us, it was probably a positive. This is from Nick Gags. What are the chances we see a Lion's Den match at WrestleMania 29 with Brock Lesnar? Highly, highly unlikely. The thing is, WWE did the Lion's Den matches in 1998 and 1999 during a period when WWE didn't really see UFC as competition. And today they'll still try to deny that UFC is competition, but it definitely hurts their pay-per-views when UFC has a pay-per-view the same weekend as WWE. WWE usually takes a hit. And WWE at this point is not going to acknowledge UFC and by doing a Lion's Den match. It just, they would get bad publicity. ESPN and all the sports networks would mock WWE, saying that they're trying to copy UFC and trying to rip off UFC. So WWE is not going to be doing that at this point. UFC is still very popular. And it just would make them look very second-rate. UFC was not nearly as popular in the late 90s, so when WWE did the Lion's Den match, it didn't really create a whole lot of buzz, and people didn't see it as a rip-off of UFC. It was just, Ken Shamrock coming in and having his style of match in a WWE environment. So that was the case during that period. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQ&AW. Tell a friend, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'll see you later this week for more NoDQ&A video.